Welcome to College Smart Radio, helping you understand the true cost of college and tackle the runaway costs of financing a college education. College Smart Radio is hosted by Mark Guthrie and Beatrice Schultz, founders of Westface College Planning. Now, your hosts for College Smart Radio, Mark Guthrie and Beatrice Schultz.
Employers desire a critical asset in new grads, the ability to clearly communicate, verbally and in writing, proving that perhaps liberal arts degrees are extremely valuable. Students may not think showing up early for classes or being physically and mentally prepared has anything to do with work, but it has everything to do with their success and their future career. Our guest on today's College Smart Radio program is Alfred Poor. He's a professional speaker and also the author of the book, 7 Success Secrets That Every College Student Needs to Know. He's here with us today to share with us some of his secrets. Hi, I'm Beatrice Schultz. Welcome to our weekly show. I'm here in the studio with my co-host and husband and partner, Mark Guthrie. Welcome to our weekly show, College Smart Radio, where we help you tackle the runaway costs of a college education. Our show is about bringing up-to-date and practical advice to parents that are dealing with the cost of a college education for their kids. With some private schools costing well over $60,000 a year, a UC costing $35,000, and a California State University running $25,000, parents need more help than ever. And we bring you that help by sharing ways to pay less, tapping into financial aid, and prioritizing your source of funds to make sure you get through the most expensive years of your life. Based on our education and experience, we share our insights with you week in and week out. Mark and I are the owners of the San Carlos-based college financial planning business, Westface College Planning, and we're also the owners and investment advisory representatives of Westface Financial Advisory, a registered investment advisory firm. We host workshops and webinars on college financial planning and consult with parents on a daily basis. And in addition to our insights, we bring in experts in many areas of the college process, from counselors, financial professionals, financial aid officers, student coaches, parents, and even students. You'll learn firsthand the ins and outs of how to pay for college and survive financially. And in addition to our show, you can find lots of powerful information at our website, collegesmartradio.com. We also have a monthly e-newsletter full of content about college planning that you can subscribe to, and we have a link on collegesmartradio.com to our free community parent workshops and webinars that we host to teach parents about how to pay for college and how the financial aid system really works. So let's get started with today's show. Our guest on today's show is Alfred Poor. He's got a PhD, he's a speaker and writer, and he's an author of the book 7 Success Secrets That Every College Student Needs to Know. He speaks in high schools, colleges, and corporate audiences about the importance of career skills for young employees' success at work. He's very dedicated to delivering practical information that you can put to use right away. Alfred's joining us via phone. Hi, Alfred. Welcome to College Smart Radio.
Hi, Beatrice. Hi, Mark. Glad to be here.
Yeah, thanks. Great to have you today. And this is a fantastic topic as we're rounding the corner here, and many parents are getting their children ready to start picking majors here in the next couple of months as they accept their new college career. So we're excited to have this conversation.
So, terrific.
Alfred, how did you become an expert on, success secrets for college students?
Well, one of the things I say to people is, they got to be crazy to listen to me because I haven't had a job in over 30 years. So why would they want to hear what I have to say? But the fact is, I've been a freelance writer and speaker for the last 30 years, and I've probably worked with more companies in that time than your average person will in 3 or 4 lifetimes. And so I've really learned a lot about what it takes to get a job, do well at it, and succeed and be able to continue in it. And of course, having that kind of a job, I've also had lots of young people come up to me over the years and say, I want to do what you do. How do I do that? And have ended up mentoring a lot of young people, not just in writing, but in other kinds of careers as well, helping them figure out what makes sense for them and what's a good fit for them. So it's something that's very close to my heart. It's a way that I can help people, and I feel strongly that there's a lot of choices that these young people can make, a lot of decisions that they could be making better than many of them are now. And so I'm out here hoping to spread some good words and some enthusiasm and some encouragement and give them some good direction.
Great. Well, thanks so much for joining us on the show today. So let's talk a little bit about what every college student does need to know, and what you've kind of learned through your experiences, or what are the key pieces of advice that we should be talking about today during the show and sharing with our audience?
Well, it's fun. One of the things that I do is I have a couple filters on Twitter, and I keep an eye out for posts that people make, the tweets they make. And one of the things I search for is tweets that have career and college in it. And it's amazing, but so often I will find posts from high school students and college students basically to the effect of, I can't wait to get to college and then graduate and then get a home and a wife or a husband and start my career. And they sort of have this view that everything's in suspended animation, that nothing counts, and they're just waiting for their life to begin. And one of the points I make is that you really have to look at your career as starting day one when you set foot on college campus. Basically, that's the time when you need to explore and develop skill sets and experience that are going to help you become valuable to a future employer. I like to tell kids that employers don't really care about what your goals are and your aspirations. They have a job, they have tasks that they need to pay somebody to do, and they're looking for somebody who can do it. If that fits in with what you want to do, great, but that's not really their main concern. And so the key is that you need to be able to finish college and be able to demonstrate to these people that you have these skills, that you can bring value. Now, colleges are really good at conveying the content that you would study for your major or whatever, but they really don't do a great job at this point at conveying a lot of the essential career skills that a lot of these young people lack. And you mentioned one already when you talked about showing up for class on time. It's remarkable, but do you know what the number one reason is that entry-level workers lose their jobs these days?
No, but I bet I can guess based on what you just said, but go ahead.
It's attendance. You're right. It's attendance issues. It's simply showing up and staying till the bell rings. And yet this is difficult for a lot of these young people for a lot of good reasons. I mean, I've done a lot of studying and research and stuff about, why a lot of these young people have attitudes that are really quite different than the ones I had, certainly when I was in college, and even my children had 10, 20 years ago when they were in college. And there's some good reasons why they have these behaviors, but they need to address them if they're going to find their way into a good job. So most colleges that I know, they don't even take attendance at the classes. So It's totally up to you. And you can arrange, I've seen tweets, again, from a lot of college students saying, it looks like I'm going to be able to complete my college career without ever attending a Friday morning class. Well, that's quite an accomplishment, but it's probably not going to serve you very well when you have to show up Friday morning for work every week. And so one of the things I stress for students is that just showing up for class is a skill, even though it's not something that necessarily the college is going to care about. It's something you need to care about, and you need to develop the habit, the attitude of being on class, on time, and ready to work.
Sure.
When I talk to college students, audiences, sometimes, as you know, very often the front row will be empty, and I'll go up to the back row and get a kid and invite them down to sit in the front row, and then I'll explain to them, this is the VIP seat. I guarantee you that you can get a better grade in your class simply by sitting in the front row and being there when the professor walks in with your book open and like you're ready to take notes, and look at the professor and smile, and every once in a while look like you're writing something down, and wait until the professor leaves, and and then go. I say, you behave that way, I guarantee you're going to get a better grade, just because it looks like you're ready to work. And it's funny, but the fact is that a lot of the students don't make the connection between their behavior and how that's going to affect their working world down the line.
Sure, and that's probably been a combination of just lessons learned or not learned from their parents and their prior school experiences. And boy, it's tough, right? Because the colleges aren't driving that kind of attitude when students show up. Since, as you said, colleges seem to be somewhat carefree about whether or not students show up or not to the lectures, and it's all kind of test-based. If you can pass the test, you can get out, kind of a thing. And more materials available online than ever, so it's tough for students. So beyond the core behavior of showing up on time and sitting in the front row and things like that, before we take a quick break here, what are some of the other secrets to success?
Well, here's one that's so simple, and again, it's something that a lot of these young people just haven't really thought about. But one of the points I make in the book is that one of your most important jobs, no matter what your job is to make other people's jobs easier, right? You're not there to make more work for your colleagues. You're there to make their lives easier, whether it's your boss, whether it's the guy in the mailroom, whether it's the person in the cube next to you. It doesn't matter. Anything that you can do to make their job easier and more pleasant is going to make it a nicer place to work. And if it's a nicer place to work, people are going to be more productive, and if they're more productive, the company is going to be more successful, and that's in your interest, because a more successful company grows and has more opportunities for expansion and promotion and new opportunities for their workers. Go the other way, and if they start losing money, the first person to leave is probably the last person hired. So,
yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's in your own self-interest. So, And I try to make it relate to stuff that they're familiar with. So when you walk into a fast food...
Alfred, let me just stop you there real quick, because I want to get to that, because I think it's important to have kids understand these lessons and things that they can relate to.
If you've just joined us, my guest on today's College Smart Radio program is Alfred Poor. We're talking about the 7 success secrets that every college student needs to know, and you'll have a link to his book available on our website, collegesmartradio.com. We'll be right back after a short break on College Smart Radio.
College Smart Radio with Mark Guthrie and Beatrice Schultz continues in moments on AM 1220 KDOW. For more information on today's topic, visit collegesmartradio.com or call area code 650-587-1559. Contact our hosts at collegesmartradio.com or call 650-587-1559. Now back to College Smart Radio with Mark Guthrie and Beatrice Schultz on AM 1220 KDOW.
Welcome back to College Smart Radio, where we help you tackle the runaway costs of college. I'm Beatrice Schultz, and I'm here with my co-host, Mark Guthrie. We all know that college is expensive and will most likely be some of the most costly years for a family. Understanding how to navigate the college costs is a very smart thing to know. To help families be on this radio show, we host community workshops live and via webinar several times a month that explain the cost of various colleges, how the financial aid system works, and things to prepare yourself for this tremendous expense. You can learn more and reserve your seat at collegesmartradio.com. If you've just joined us, we've been talking with our guest, Alfred Poor, who's the author of the book 7 Success Secrets that Every College Student Needs to Know. We've been talking about some concepts and just really good ideas that students should be thinking about at college that are going to help them get jobs and help them be successful in their professional career. During the break, we talked a little bit about the fact that a lot of our audience are parents of students. And so maybe we can continue that conversation, Alfred, talking a little bit about what advice do you give to parents to help their students be as successful as they can after college?
Well, as a parent myself, I certainly understand that, we all want the best for our kids. And it's really hard not to step in and, try to do for them. And so, one of the pieces of I have advice that I have for parents about what to do to help their kids with college and careers is first of all, is to do less. They need to learn to take responsibility and initiative and solve their own problems. But within that, there's a number of things that parents can do that are practical and very helpful to their children and simple to do. And one of the biggest things that I suggest parents do is make sure that their college students start networking, building out their professional network. And that's simple as talking to relatives and neighbors and family friends and just asking them simply, what is your job? What do you do? And I think it's also very important for them to ask, what was your first job and what was that like? And how did you get from there to where you are now? Because a lot of these kids are struggling with, as Mark mentioned, choosing a major. They're trying to figure out, they're being told they have to choose a career, when in fact, most of them have very limited work experience and really don't know the kinds of things that are out there. And so I think it's important for them to hear from successful people who, had a good career, to find out that they started off, sweeping out warehouses or, doing some sort of entry-level job that maybe has nothing to do with what they're doing now. And so that they can understand and have reasonable expectations about what an entry-level job can be. I mean, for me, I view an entry-level job as a paid education. You're getting paid to do a job, but it gives you the opportunity to observe and look around and find out what else is going on in that company and discover different ways that you might be able to contribute that would appeal to you.
Sure. As a matter of fact, here in the Bay Area, one company that we know a lot about, Google, they've even got internships where kids come out of college, and they don't get paid for 6 months. They work full-time to see if they can qualify for a full-time job. So that's kind of taking that concept to an extreme. It'd be great to get paid for an internship there. They don't even do that because they've got such demand.
Yep. Well, yeah, but I mean, with a lot of people come out with, in a small company, they end up working as a receptionist or a mailroom clerk or, loading dock or who knows where. But it's, a ground-up opportunity. The beauty of it is that you don't have a lot of pay, but you also don't have a lot of responsibility. You can't make drastic mistakes that are going to sink the company necessarily.
Sure.
So take the time, take advantage of the low stress and do the best you possibly can with the job, but then also to look around and see what else you can do and what you can learn. I mean, it's a great opportunity. But again, going back to the parents and the networking, if they can hear this kind of story from, their mother, their father, their work experience, and other family members, and then neighbors or people that their parents work with, this will give them more of a perspective and a better understanding of what people have to go through initially before they can get to the good jobs with the more responsibility. And there's a second benefit that comes from this. A lot of these young people, one of the big problems they have is they spend so much time with digital media, texting, Facebook, and these other ways of interacting, which are all fine, but it's cut way down on the amount of face-to-face interaction they have, especially with people they don't know, and especially with older people. And so when it comes time to do job interviews and that sort of thing, a lot of these young people are extremely uncomfortable and not very good at it.
Well, I think those are all skills that that kids need to learn and students need to learn. And oftentimes the colleges aren't very directed at how you can learn those skills, those interviewing skills. Whenever we talk to our students, especially those that are getting close, as soon as they go to visit a college even, we will say, go into that career center and start looking at what the jobs are out there so they get the experience with interviewing for jobs. And I think that that's a real benefit, and that's a real benefit also for those parents out there to be inviting, really tell their students, hook up with them on LinkedIn. So that's one of the social, connections that students do like. Hook up with them with LinkedIn, and then really ask any of your parents' friends if you could go in and learn a little bit about their career.
Exactly, and it's a dry run. You get to talk to them and learn what they have to share about their experience. But gives you that practice. As a public speaker, everybody talks about how scary it is to talk in public. And I think it's scary, but no more than swinging a baseball or trying to kick a soccer ball. You've just got to practice it over and over again. So the more time you can spend talking to people you don't know, the more comfortable you're going to be with it. And at the same time, these people are going to get to know these kids.
Sure.
And it's that old marketing thing about know, like, and trust. If you have more people who know, like, and trust you and understand what you have to offer, job opportunities are going to present themselves to you that you're not going to find otherwise. This is what networking is all about. And so this can lead to opportunities that you might never have considered.
You bet. All right, well, let's keep with the theme here. I know we're not going to get through all 7 of the secrets, but we've got time for one more. What's another high-impact item you think either students or parents can help their students with?
Well, the parents, I think, a lot of parents, I think, try to teach their kids, if you don't have something good to say, don't say it. But I don't think they necessarily connect the dots for their children in terms of the workplace. As a parent, an adult myself, I know it's so easy to come back home and moan at the dinner table about what a rotten day I've had and how this person or that person has made my life difficult. But it's important for these young people to learn that that's not appropriate in most settings. You really shouldn't complain outside of the workplace about your job because you don't know who you're talking to and how they're connected. It could cost your company business. It could cost you the job. It could end up giving somebody the impression that you're a complainer, and they may end up being on the other side of the table when you show up looking for a new job. Especially
if you like to complain on Twitter or Facebook or one of the social media sites, right?
Especially if you don't know, if you're just broadcasting it out into space, that's especially a bad idea. But even in the workplace, you really don't want to complain if you can avoid it. Again, because you don't know who it's going to get back to, whether it's your manager or somebody higher up. It's just not smart. So again, it all comes back to your role is to help the company be successful. And I think parents need to help students understand that it's not about them when they get the job. It's about their employer and what they can do to make it better. A lot of the young people today have a hair trigger when it comes to quitting their jobs. And it's too hard, too easy, too much, more work than they expected, wasn't what they expected. They don't have the responsibilities that they thought they were going to have, not getting promotions fast enough. And so I think parents can help a lot by helping these young people get better expectations about how that first job is likely to play out and how it's important to stick to it and make it work, because in the long run, it's going to pay off for you.
Sure. All right. Well, hey, we're just down to the last minute here. Any one last quick tip that you find, or maybe a technique that parents could use to maybe get through to the kids on some of these topics?
Well, one of the main reasons I wrote the book was exactly that, so that it's written in such a way that there's some exercises at the end of each chapter, and I think it's great for parents to get the book, read it, and then go through it with their kid and discuss it, because a lot of these things that I'm talking about, it can be difficult for some parents to sort of bring it up. But if you have a book or an article or something that you can discuss together about it, it sort of provides an external point of reference that you can start at.
Sure. You don't hear the mom, dad. You said that 1,000 times. You've actually got an external source to use as your source of maybe saying the same thing, but maybe in a little bit different way.
And it'll be an opportunity for you to talk about your own work experience.
You bet.
Which is something these kids need to hear.
All right. Well, hey, we're running out of time here, Alfred. I really want to thank you for coming on the show. I want to let everybody know that they can follow you on Twitter at Alfred Poor, and that they can find more information about your book and your speaking in general at www.alfredpoor.speaker.com. Thanks so much for coming on the show with us today.
Thanks so much. I've had a great time. Love to do it again.
Fantastic. Thanks. Well, that wraps up another weekly show of College Smart Radio. We hope you picked up some new information today that helps you figure out ways to manage the runaway cost of college. You can hear us each week here on KDOW, 1220 a.m., Saturdays at 3 p.m. We promise to bring you up-to-date information from the front lines of helping parents deal with the most expensive years of their life. For a link to a podcast of this show and our prior weekly shows, go to our website, www.collegesmartradio.com. In addition to the podcast, you can also find a schedule of our upcoming shows. And make sure you print out or bring up on your tablet our glossary of college planning terms for reference during our future shows. It's a complicated topic to navigate, and without knowing the terms, it's easy to get lost. Also, plan on joining us at one of our upcoming West Face College Planning workshops and webinars. Again, you can find that information on collegesmartradio.com. This is Mark Guthrie
and Beatrice Schultz.
Thanks for tuning in to College Smart Radio. We look forward to sharing more information next week.
You've been listening to College Smart Radio with Mark Guthrie and Beatrice Schultz. If you have questions on today's topic, log on to collegesmartradio.com or call area code 650-587-1559. That's 650-587-1559. And join us next week at this time for another edition of College Smart Radio on AM 1220 KDOW.
Information presented during today's show is not to be construed as advice meeting the particular needs of any investor. All mention of performance is based on historical experience. It should not be assumed that past performance is any indication of future results. Tax and or legal advice is not offered by Mark Guthrie or Beatrice Schultz. Please consult your tax professional for additional guidance regarding tax-related matters. Mark Guthrie and Beatrice Schultz are owners and investor advisor representatives of Westface Financial Advisory. College planning services offered through Westface College Planning. Insurance services offered through Westface Financial and Insurance Services. License number OF 35251. Financial planning and investment advisory services offered through Westface Financial Advisory.